Hello and good evening. I can't even tell if this video is on. I think it is. Okay, well, I just got an email from YouTube saying that I'm live. Okay, so it is on. Quick message for some of you. This message will not be for everyone. So many of us have been in a time period of maybe you're really taking care of yourself and exercising a lot. Maybe you've made massive changes in your diet, your meditation practice, your exercise. Maybe you've just made a lot of massive changes in the last. Some of you, it's been a decade or 2 decades. Some of you, the radical changes that you made have just been in the last year or maybe the last couple of years. So many of you have radically changed the way you live in the last couple years and gone into what I will say we are all a little bit tired of hearing the phrase going into hermit mode. But that's where so many of us have been. And I know for some of you that it's been a year or a couple of years, some of you a decade, some of you even longer. We learn how important it is to stay balanced, to get calm, to get clear, to get relaxed. Not only probably as well as dietary changes and exercise changes, meditation changes. Maybe you even painted your house to be calm, neutral colors. Maybe, like me, you have a family of colors that you wear, and those are the colors that you wear all the time, right? Really subdued, really blending in. So I'm talking, it's going to be different for everyone. But for me, for the last several years, probably more than a decade, I've been wearing black, gray, blue, and green. And that's pretty much it. I'm specifically talking to a small group of you. And in this ritual of self care, in this mode of hermetism that you've gone through yet, the question I want to ask you, because we can't stay in the same mode. When we go into this mode or kind of a theme or kind of a channel of time, introspection, we will be in that time until we no longer need that time. But the question I want to ask everyone who's been toning down their food and toning down their friendship circles, toning down their jobs, toning down their life, honing into meditation, honing into self. This is a really important thing for you to know right now for 2 reasons. But the question I pose to you right now is, are you relaxed enough? Have you meditated enough? Have you been quiet long enough? Have you spent enough time living like a hermit? And the reason this is important is because while most of the world at this moment is overstimulated and oversaturated with the physical reality and the physical world, there is a group of us that is understimulated in general. Oh, Scott and Christina, you're the last 2 people I talked to. How very fortuitous. So, have you done enough introspection, right? Because again, when you get into a channel of energy that's there to help you, Um, just like sometimes a guide or an ascended master will show up to help you, that person will show up to help you with a very specific channel of energy or a very specific time in your life, um, or a very specific um, genre of information maybe that you're connected to. But many of us have been in this toned down, heatless, antisocial, anti-spicy, and that goes from your food to probably your sex life, okay? But what I'm asking you is, and I'm not talking to everyone, because not everyone has got to the point of course correction. So if you haven't course corrected and I'm telling you to go out and stimulate yourself, then that would be incorrect. If the message doesn't resonate with you from the start of this video, then it's not for you. But are you relaxed enough? Have you meditated long enough? Have you been quiet and antisocial long enough? Have you spent enough time living like a hermit? And again, while most of the world right now is overstimulated and oversaturated with physical reality, newspapers, sex, drugs, rock and roll, music, family problems, marital problems, all of that. It's all overstimulation, right? If you're married and have a good marriage, that's great. That's perfect. That's awesome. And that, if the marriage is great, then you're not overstimulated. You're not oversaturated with things, anything in a negative capacity. Now, I'm not saying, of course, we know that any or all relationships are perfect, of course. But when you are in a good working relationship with yourself, when you're in a good working relationship with the place you work and your coworkers or your teammates, when you're in a good partnership at home or a good marriage or partnership, um, or even a roommate situation, you can relax and be who you are. And at a time while most of the world is overstimulated and oversaturated with physical reality, there is a group of us that is very understimulated in general. Okay? And what I mean by that, okay, baby, you don't need to wear black all the time or shades of green and blue all the time or neutral colors, or maybe you need to paint a wall bright red or hot pink or lime green. So there is a group of us that has had way too much alone time. There is a group of us who's had way too much solitude. There is a group of us that is wearing too many calm colors or looking at too many calm colored walls or whatever it is that you surround yourself with your choice of color. And most specifically, and I know personally, many of you, way too much celibacy and way too much interaction in a healthy manner. Okay, too much time alone, too much solitude, too many calm colors, too much celibacy, and too little one-on-one connection. And I understand certainly why I've been there for a very long time, and I certainly understand why you are there. But we go into this hermit mode or into this stream of consciousness where we can relax, where we can meditate, where we can really be quiet, where we can really go into this introspective mode and shine our own light. But I can tell you firsthand how incredibly, incredibly comfortable it is to stay in that solitude. If you don't have to fight with other people or disagree with other people, right? I work for myself. So even at work, there is very little interaction with other people. When there are things we have to figure out and very important choices we have to make, then we do need that time alone. We do need that solitude. We do need those calm colors. We do need that meditation. We do need that celibacy and all of that. But right now, the message is just very clearly that we need stimulation. And again, most of the world at the moment is overstimulated and oversaturated with physical 3D reality, whether that be the news, dysfunctional relationships, whatever it is for you. Now, the other place, and this is kind of a fall in between the cracks, if you will, is you could be a person that is in hermit mode, but also overstimulating yourself with too much social media or too much tarot readings or too much news or too much MSNBC or too much anything. Sorry, I just looked down at the comments and I'm not sure. I know I see you've asked me several questions, but this is going to be a short video, not really kind of a Q&A. Okay, there is some very unusual things that are going on with our sun, and I would wager to say these are not things that we've ever seen before physically that we've tracked. Now, if you want to return to ancient text, any and all of them are going to talk about the solar cycle that we're in, but it's not information that the average bear has. Okay, right now there are geomagnetic storms, there are solar pulsations, there are pulsations coming through the sun that are affecting the grid, they're affecting the ley lines, they're affecting the volcanoes, earthquakes, all the way down to the core of the earth. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because all of these things that are happening, and this is just a very brief summation, all of these things that are happening are not only shaking the planets and the grid lines and the tectonic plates and the faults and the volcanoes and all these other things. All of the things combined that are not only coming from the sun, but coming through the sun as well, are amping up the electric charge that you and I and our last several generations have never seen and never heard. And maybe you are someone who has dipped your toes into ancient text, or maybe you've lost yourself in ancient text and you are aware of this solar cycle. And those are things I know that you're already aware of, and you can certainly look those up on your own. The electricity is very intense right now. And you have to remember whether it's coming from the sun or whether it's coming through the sun as a portal that brings everything onto this planet and into this section of the universe. It's an electric universe. You are an electric body and an avatar. You are simply a battery that is a container for a soul, passion, and drive. And that's why it's important to stop overindulging, right? It's so funny because we go into hermit mode so we're not overindulging, and maybe sex, drugs, and rock and roll, whatever it is. It's different things for different people, right? Too much alone time, too much solitude, too much calmness, too much celibacy, and too little one-on-one connection. So at this time, it's really important, and this is the whole reason that I'm coming here and making this video, is because this is not a time to be calm. This is not the time, and this is only for a small, specific, when I say small, 100,000 people or so, this message is for. We have been understimulated and underwhelmed for too long. Okay. So we're being asked to shift out of that and shift into not necessarily sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but we're being asked to shift out of that introspection mode, that quiet time, that solitude, and that celibacy, and really shine and really connect with our electric self, the electricity in other people, and our electric universe. So, whenever we're doing something that goes in the exact opposite flow of what the energy is right now, that is harder on us. Okay. So, maybe you pride yourself on the fact that you've been celibate for 5 years or 10 years, or um, that you don't ever indulge in alcohol, that you don't ever smoke pot, that you don't ever run naked in the dark, whatever it is for you. We all have different things, right? But there's a lot of crossover here for us as humans. So we never want to push against the grain, and we don't want to force the universe, and we want to go with the flow. So if you have been thinking, wondering, feeling if it's time for you to step into bright paint or bright colors, being intimate with people, having sex again, eating spicy food again, whatever it is, the electric current that is running right now, it's amping up, right? And it's incredibly strong. I will be 55 next month. I have never felt an electricity so strong in the trees and the air and the animals and the ground that I walk on. And guys, I have no shoes off, and I ground between 3 and 5 hours a day. Sometimes it's closer to 6 or 7 hours a day, right? So I'm charging, recharging, and emptying that battery all the time. Okay. But all of which that is the electric universe that is coming from not only, well, this electric experience right now for you and I, in a body, in the planet, all of it, this electric universe is coming from the electric omniverse, going to the electric multiverse, going through the electric universe, funneling through our sun as a filter and into your body. So if you've been prompted or guided, or maybe you just see constant signs and synchronicities, whatever it is for you to get back into sex, get back into intimacy, get back into bright colors, get back into dancing or spicy food or hot tamales. Somebody's hot tamales are red hot. Yes, got them for sale. Chili Peppers fans out there. But if you're feeling that, hearing that, if you're being prompted out of celibacy, out of drab, dreary colors, and just out of introspection, right? That energetic flow or vein of introspection is only supposed to last, so long. Personally, I've stayed in it way longer than I ever should have, and I'll be the first to admit it. Okay. We want to go with the flow of energy and be conductive. I made a video, gosh, when was that? December. I made more videos, I think, in December than I did my whole life. But December or January, I made a video called the next year to 18-month forecast. And what I said for this coming year and 18 months is it was going to be very different than the last 18 months that were very watery, very emotional, very introspective. And what I said about now was it's going to be very fiery, very dry, and very hot, right? So fiery, dry, and hot. Okay. So that we're not just talking about your weather forecast here. Okay. Fiery and hot refers to you jumping into your mission, jumping onto whatever course correction it is you need, jumping back into intimacy, jumping back into sex, jumping back into bold colors, dancing, spicy food, whatever it is with you. Okay, so if you've been prompted that or hearing that, or like I said, feeling that it's time to get out of this celibacy and hermit mode, you are correct, right? This is a very fiery, hot, electric time. And in this time, if we ignore our own need for fiery, hot, and spicy, that's not good for us in general. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very sorry that I just don't want to look at comments, and I don't want to have this. I didn't want to have the camera on my face at all, because as actually Scott, I think it talked to. Oh, hi James. I didn't realize you were here. Yeah, I totally agree, James, about everything going up an octave. Like you can think about it. If you think about what's happening to our universe and our body, it's no different than what would happen to an instrument, right? Think about an electric car, right? And this electric car. Why did I say electric car? Sorry. Um, Electric guitar, right? As James said, going up an octave, but even adding more like electricity to that and more being amped up into that as well. Many of you know that this has been a struggle for me, and the ones that are always here, I always feel like it's really not fair to not say hi to you and not interact with those people that have been so loving and so supportive for many years in this video making and writing process for me. Um, but I'm so much more of a clear channel if I just sit here and close my eyes. And I hate to lose the expression on my face, all those other things that you don't get when you don't get to see me. But I've tried everything to stop the bots, right? So if you think that social media is picking on you algorithmically by titles, by hashtags, any of that other things, I just want to tell you that it's not true. Now, it's so distracting for me to be able to just sit here and close my eyes and bring you whatever needs to bring you when I'm seeing the kind of messages that I always get, you know? So many, many months ago, probably 8 months ago, I started making videos without titles. Okay, so I'm not going to trigger an algorithm with the title. I stopped using titles. I stopped using descriptions. I stopped using hashtags, right? And someone proposed the question, I think I saw it maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Is social media nothing other than a psyop by the CIA? And at that time, when I looked at that question or read that question on social media, I thought, oh, I'm sure they're enjoying the tool very much, but I don't know if the inception point of that was actually a CIA operation. However, when I go live and it says Tina Hammond is live with no title, no hashtags, no description, no nothing on this small of a channel, there shouldn't be any bots here. Hello, Carly. Open my eyes for 1 second. All the people I know are here tonight. But removing the title, removing the description, removing the hashtags didn't do anything. Okay. And then last week I thought, you know what? I want to be able to really just close my eyes and bring you the message and not look at the comments. So I faced it away from me. And I faced it at this unicorn snow globe, which is where we are tonight. And not one single bot, not one single hate comment. And that's when it clicked. Yeah, I'm sure you think that you might be making it easier for social media, or I guess I should say the CIA, to pick on you while you're using, key phrases and hashtags and descriptions that they're not fans of and they try to suppress. But when I took my face out of the equation, it all stopped. So the answer is, even on a teeny tiny little channel with 1,000 subscriptions, my face is in their data bank. Okay, that's what that means. So, what that means is that means the social media platform. Now, however you want to look at that, I'm not going to say, oh, well, it's YouTube that's doing it, or Facebook or Instagram that's actually, the one that's doing that. I'm not saying that. It's so much different than that. If you have been pegged or picked out as a troublemaker, now, I asked this many, many moons ago, and Christina and I talked about this too. You could be someone that is an energy worker, like let's say trees or the grid, that has no mention of anything you believe or anything you do or anything you practice or any way at all that you cooperate and work together with the rest of whatever group you're in. Okay, you could be someone who works with geometry and light on the grid and on the trees, and nobody even knows it. Well, guess what? Your face is still in the data bank because they're not going by what you're doing on social media or even really what you're saying on social media. All right, they're not algorithmically picking on anyone because of hashtags or descriptions or video titles. You yourself get pegged because of the amount of light that comes off of your body, right? I was shown this in 2016 because in 2015, I was doing a meditation as I always do, and I started being electrocuted. Okay. And my mother had taught me many, many things, how to protect myself, how to not be invitational to those energies to begin with. But long story short, right around the end of 2015, around the time that the Prince Star Wars movie came out, December, I will never forget this. I was being electrocuted by someone or some source that wasn't even in my vicinity. And I said very loudly and very clearly, why is this happening to me? I'm not changing the banking system. I'm not working underground pedophile rings. I don't have millions of followers. I'm not on Twitter. I wasn't even making videos. And already they're electrocuting me. And they electrocuted me for so long and they kept amping it up that when the electrocution finally stopped, which I texted a friend and I said, I need you to protect me right now. And it stopped within a matter of seconds. But the electrocution was so strong, I couldn't get out of bed for an hour after that electrocution. My point is, I said to whomever, I am not Taylor Swift. I am not changing the banking system. I am not doing anything in an outward way. So why am I facing and dealing with all of this stuff? And they literally showed me just, it looked like I was astral traveling, right? So I was rising up out of my bed, over my bed, and then I went right through the ceiling, right above the house, right above the tree line, about, I don't know, 1,000 feet up or so into the night sky because it was pitch black outside and it was winter. And they said, what do you see? And I said, I see the little town of Elmwood that I live in the dark. I see some lights and a couple of little tiny houses down there. And they said, what else do you see? And I said, well, it does look like there's a couple of really, really, really bright lights. That might be like the power plant or Procter and Gamble or something. And they said, no, that's you. And both sides of the game can see your light. And they are not doing anything or picking on you or sending people to run you over with cars or electrocute you or anything else for any other reason. I'm filling you in on the story of what had been happening to me. That what they said was, if you look at that light, we can see it. Both sides can clearly see that light, and you could be doing nothing in the middle of the mountains and talking to no one, and you would just be just as big of a target as you are now, right? I'm paraphrasing a lot here. But the point is, and their point was, they're not doing anything to you because of what you're doing, but what you're capable of doing. Okay, so we deal with this if we want to do this kind of work. We deal with it. But apparently, I mean, I don't know because I've had my eyes closed. I've seen Carly and James, Christina, and Scott. Those are all people that I've known for years. I saw one other person make a comment, something about answer my question. But again, no hate. It's mind blowing to me that they would have that smooth of an operation, that anybody that they have tagged as a troublemaker, even if, like I said, you could be someone working with sacred geometry and light, with the grid or with the trees, and you would have the same tag that I do. The level of protection has stepped up for every one of you. Okay. I did for the very first time, you guys. I know I talk about a lot of things and I do a lot of things, but I have never had a tarot reading from someone else. I've never like reached out and paid for a reading. I have friends that like to play with cards. Yes. I've never been hypnotized. I've never had past life regression. I've never done any of these things. And Christina so lovingly worked with me. And one of the things that came through was that all of us who have been working so diligently, whether it's completely quietly out there in the forest with the trees or on social media forums, have the same level of protection right now that the president does. Okay. I know early in my Facebook career, especially in the last, I would say, maybe 10 years ago, when I connected with people, there were a lot of people like me that were being monitored, electrocuted, all kinds of things. And I'm not saying any of this to scare you. I'm saying it happens. It's very real. And it's been going on for a long time. And the reason I want to mention this is because there are a lot of people that have gone before us that have risked their lives to do these things for the planet. They have risked their lives to do these things for you and I, for fairness, for justice, for equality on this planet. And they have lost their lives. And we are not doing that. Your level of protection, my level of protection, is that which the president has. And that's what came out of my mouth in hypnotism. One of the few things that came out of my mouth. I don't want to turn this into a long message, and I certainly didn't mean to do any scare tactics. If you're not one of those persons that's had those electrocutions or people trying to run you over or pick you up on the road or anything else, that's great that that's never happened to you. We are beyond a level of secrecy on this planet that is insane. We're beyond an amount of electric current that is insane. All right. Go with the flow, be yourself, and have no worries. Security is amped up, and they can have my face in every database on this universe, and it isn't going to matter because they can't touch you, they can't touch me, they just can't touch us with this level of security anymore. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support, and have a wonderful evening.